Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining Prenatal Alliance today. I am so happy to be here with APPA, our partners from the Association for Prenatal and Perinatal Psychology. And especially here today, we have Ashley McCann. She's a prenatal and perinatal educator, a birth doula, body ready method pro, a Reiki master teacher and meditation guide specializing in trauma-informed preconception and birth preparation and self-care integration for parents and birth professionals. She's also the founder of Body Birth and Wellness. Also, my other guest is Wendy Bruns. She graduated with a degree in anthropology from the University of Santa Cruz, and she has a good big role in APPA as she has deepened her understanding of how prenatal and perinatal experience shape mental, emotional, and physical well-being. This work has enriched her education and strengthened her commitment to improve birth experience and supporting families holistically. Hi, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for
Hi,
having me.
Susanna. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah. So today we're going to talk about a little bit about our partnership, what we are doing here. As everybody knows, Prenatal Alliance is proud to announce the World Pregnancy Day, which is celebrated annually on March 22 as a global initiative to raise awareness about the critical role of prenatal life in shaping the wealth and the well-being of future generations. The World Pregnancy Day aims to highlight the profound impact that conception, pregnancy, birth, and breastfeeding has on individuals and societies. So by recognizing prenatal life as a fundamental human right and public responsibility, this World Pregnancy Day on March 22 seeks to inspire informed and conscious prenatal practices that foster a more sustainable, inclusive, and peaceful world. Today, we're going to know a little bit more about the work of APPA, our partners in spreading the word about the World Pregnancy Day. And I would like to start with my guests, any of you who wish to start, and asking you how, for the first time, you get involved with APA and what drew you to the field of prenatal and perinatal psychology.
Great question, Susanna. Ashley, would you like to go first?
Sure. So let's see where to begin. It began a long time ago, but essentially, um, during the birth of my daughter, during the pregnancy of my daughter, I was experiencing pregnancy after loss during the time when we weren't really discussing that topic. And I was very hypervigilant in my preparation. I did all of my educational components. I did all of the physical preparation components. And I went into my experience and had the most transformative experience of my life. And I walked out of it thinking, that was crazy. Why didn't we talk about the psychological aspects of this transition? And then I moved into postpartum and I had been handed some basic healing supplies. I had been told, the first few weeks are the trenches. And I was completely unprepared for my postpartum experience. I had no idea the paradigm shift that I was walking into. And I was so fascinated by this transition, and I was so confused by why no one was really talking about this in depth at the time in my area. So I began reading, and I looked for every book that I could find on the psychology surrounding this experience, and I just could not stop learning. And about 2 years later, I decided to become a doula. And I really wanted to create an educational component for my community that had not been available to me when I was pregnant, something that was missing for me. And I knew there were others that wanted this information. And I looked everywhere. And every program that I found for childbirth education was very 1 week intensive, here's your curriculum. And I wanted something that really gave me the depths of the information so that I could properly translate it to my client base. And really just effectively share and help people grow. So I looked and looked for about 6 or 8 months and I couldn't find anything. And then one day, APPA just kind of fell into my lap, and I discovered the Prenatal and Perinatal Educator certificate program and dove into that, anticipating that I was going to get information and disperse that information into my community, I had no idea that this was going to completely shift the way that I connect with myself, the way that I parent my daughter, the way that I connect with my client base. And as I began to implement these birth psychology concepts into my work, I started noticing changes in outcomes for my client base as a doula. And I was completely shocked in a non-clinical role to be making such a difference and to seeing such a dramatic shift with these principles, prenatal bonding, all of these things working so well for my clients. And as I dove deeper into birth work and started studying midwifery, I began to realize that the deeper we go with our clients, the deeper we go with our parents, with our mothers, prenatally, the less we actually have to do during the birth experience, and the easier the transition is for them into this new role, right? So that was the beginning of things for me. I built a childbirth education program within my community that was pretty successful, and I eventually joined the board at APPPAH and was so excited to dive in and spread the word on this information. And about a year and a half ago, I was offered the position of executive director, and I get to spend every day of my life working to spread the word on this information because it's so impactful.
Wonderful, wonderful. What about you, Wendy?
I just have to say, Ashley, I love when you tell this story because I think it so solidly explains how important the work that APPA does for the birthing parents, for the mothers, for the babies, for the community. And I love hearing you share that story every time that I get to sit in a room with you. My involvement with APPA and what kind of drew me into the field of pre and perinatal psychology, I was very fortunate to grow up in a really birth positive household. I grew up where my mom shared mine and my siblings' birth stories all the time. We asked for it probably every day when I was little. And we could all recount the stories of everybody's births. And it grew even further into asking, when my mom was born, what that was like and what my dad's birth was like. And I was just one of those kids who was completely in love with birth. And that never left me. I went to college at UC Santa Cruz and majored in anthropology with a huge focus in maternal health and community and what that looks like for us as a species. And I, in my late teens and early 20s, had started attending births of my friends and family, and that really shifted internally the way that I look at birth. And I could not stop reading every single book I could get my hands on. I loved talking to my friends and family about what their pregnancies were like and what their relationships with that baby inside of them were like. And it just kind of grew into other friends and family asking me to attend their births and to talk about birth with them. And then it was my friends of friends, and then it was people I didn't know. And I feel so fortunate to have grown my own birth community. It's very similar to Ashley. APPA is just one of those organizations that when you're looking for it, it falls into your lap. And I could not get enough. I was so excited to see an organization that was putting science behind every single concept that I was just innately talking to my friends and family about, and I immediately knew I wanted to be a part of the organization. And I've been so fortunate to have worked with them since 2021 and really getting to grow in a role where I get to do everything that I love, which is share about birth psychology, share about APPA, share about these principles and the way that they have grown my practice as a birth worker, and just getting deeper and deeper into the birth psychology principles. It's completely reshaped the way that I approach birth work. It's given me huge appreciation for the unseen layers of pregnancy, right? What comes from how we treat babies as conscious participants in their own birth, how parents' emotional states shape their relationships with their babies. It's been absolutely just an amazing organization. And I get to meet incredible people every day. Just like Ashley, I feel so fortunate to wake up every day and work a job that doesn't feel like a job. this feels like an extension of who I am.
Yeah, I must say that I have similar experience as you have, because when I started giving classes for pregnant women, I am a yoga teacher and also a Pilates teacher. So when I started for the first, and I'm a mother of three, I think that's my major achievement. It's actually my children. But when I started giving classes to pregnant women and trying to find what was out there, not only about the physical health of the mother and baby, which I knew was very important, the connection that they had, but also psychologically, I came in terms with APPA. And it was through the research that I did in APPA that I was able to change the way that I was giving classes, yoga classes, right? So even though I was not working immediately with the birth experience of both mother and baby, I understood that when you are working within the pregnancy, within the bonding, the connection that exists, and that it's so intimate between mother and baby, they are in a fusion of body, of thoughts, of emotions, of that intimate connection of energy, right? So when I came across with APPA, I said, wow, this is so great. And then I was able to write a book about yoga and pregnancy. And Anna Varval did the preface for the book. And she said, you have to meet the people of APPA, because when you meet them, you will feel that you are with your family. And that's exactly what happened. Meanwhile, the years have come, and I was able, with a group of around 15 people from around the world, we founded Prenatal Alliance. And the first thing that we said, we have to be in partnership with APPA, because they have such this pioneer work around prenatal and perinatal psychology, because Prenatal Alliance is more in the field of education. And we need to put together all these resources and all this I think so pioneers. Actually, these pioneers need to be together and work together to make mothers and babies' lives even better, and to give a better beginning for future generations. And in this matter, I would like to ask you how APPA has influenced your work. You talked a little bit about that, but also how APPA is supporting professionals like doulas, midwives, and therapists in integrating these principles of psychology into their work.
Oh, yes. Wow.
I'm happy to. Oh, go ahead, Ashley. Go ahead.
Oh no, I'm just so excited for this question. As I was moving through the PPNE program as a student, before I ever realized I would be working with APPA, I came across a quote by Michel Audant talking about how the fastest way to societal change is through grassroots education and support. So what you just said right there, about us all working together and coming together, I believe that on a soul level. And that's one thing that I have truly learned in my time at APPA, is that we can only accomplish so much alone, but when we put our minds and our hearts together, everything just flows and opens up and works together. So I'm very aligned with that statement, and I love that. We are working on some beautiful programs for 2025. We spend a lot of time on education. That is our focus, right? And as birth professionals ourselves, we are very aware that there is not only a need, but a want. People want this information that we have to offer. And we want to make it accessible for every group. So this year we will be having a midwifery program coming out, which is a smaller program than our flagship PPNE certificate program. But this is kind of like your first toe dip into birth psychology, and really, what is this? What does it mean for you as a human being? What does it mean for your field of study? And how can you apply that in ways that can increase your sustainability in this work, and also create that ripple effect within your own community and really make a positive change? And we're working with some amazing midwives on this experience, and we're also working on a doula program that is very similar. And we're so very excited for these to come out. Wendy, did you have anything to add to?
Ashley, I just wanted to add to bouncing off of all of those programs, that APPA has so many things, so many resources that folks can pick up any day. I host a weekly live webinar called APPA Live, where you can tune in every Monday at 12 Eastern and listen to amazing professionals who come and share their stories and the way that they're using birth psychology principles in their work. We also have an amazing membership program for folks who want to kind of dive a little bit deeper right into APPA's resources. We have an incredible Journal of Prenatal and Perinatal Psychology and Health, JOPA. And that is really the crux of where all of this research and information is coming out for people to read, the cutting edge of birth psychology and pre and perinatal health. Are some of our member benefits that I know people really love to kind of come to APPA for are our APPA Connect meetings, which are monthly kind of gatherings where you get to really sit in an intimate circle and hear from other professionals about a certain topic. We are coming out with a book club and a film review for folks to just, again, dive a little bit deeper into this material that you spend so much time kind of learning on your own, but it really is so fun to come together as a group and discuss what this looks like for you as a community, discuss what this looks like for you as like the human collective and how we're experiencing all of these things. So there are so many accessibility points for APPA and how all of these resources that we have are so practical for not just birth professionals, but people, right? We at some point, all of us were born, we have that collective experience as human beings. And I think APPA just really deeply has so many tools that create so much more compassion and informed care for the world at large.
Yeah. It's amazing the work that you guys are doing in this field. And I would like to ask you, in the field of pre and perinatal psychology, what do you think are the major challenges today, and how is APPA addressing those issues? I remember when I interviewed Dr. Thomas Verney a few years back, and he told me that the first time that he would talk about psychology and prenatal psychology, nobody would hear him, right? So many years have come, around 30, 40 years now, and we have so much research and there's so much information actually available, but still this is a field where a lot of moms, a lot of families, a lot of societies don't even know. There are countries where we have the tradition of understanding how important it is, how is the impact that life in the womb has in our physical, emotional, spiritual, and social health. But still, I feel that in the Western is something that it feels really new. So what do you think that are still the challenges today for APPA?
Yeah, I love this question. As a birth worker, as a doula specifically, I'm very familiar with the challenges involving this profession and this line of work specific to the prenatal and perinatal experience, birth, preconception, the education. Most of us are just not even aware of how our bodies function. That, as a new mom, that was the part that really pulled me in, was like, wow, what is my body capable of, right? So the educational components are huge and they're not always accessible. But looking at a larger systemic issue, the way that we have been taught about birth, the way that we have studied the female body, we have very rigid and mechanical expectations and understandings of how this process is, and we're not really looking at it in a whole body perspective. I mean, we're looking at, just in the last 20 years, we're beginning to acknowledge that babies do remember, right? That this is not something that begins at the age of 3 forward. And really understanding epigenetics and neuroscience on a much deeper level. So it's really disseminating that information and also reaching the providers in a sustainable way. And what we're running into in midwifery and in birthwork obstetrics, all of it, is that this model that we're under is we are trying to fit in as many people as possible, and the connective aspects have been completely separated from the clinical aspects when we know that the trust and the connection is the most important part. As a student midwife, I've actually witnessed this in the practice that I've learned from. When you spend the extra time focusing on the interpersonal aspects of the client's life and getting to know them and building that trust, there's actually less for you to do in the birth space. And you can create a deeper, more sustainable experience that offers the continuity that is so important to not only the mothers, but the babies in this early human development experience, right? So I have a very positive take on this. I really genuinely believe that the time and age that we are in, it is so easy to get the information out there. And as a doula, a seasoned doula, over the last several years, I have noticed an uptake in younger women coming to me saying, hey, I've been doing this research, I've been doing this work, and this is what I'm learning. And I'm talking 21, 22, 23, and they are becoming aware of their bodies and becoming aware of what they're capable of way before I ever was exposed to this information. So I think that on a positive note, if we band together, if we put the information out there, if we help people understand what this means, once you experience birth psychology on an academic level, you can't unsee that information. And then once you start to implement that within your own life, it just begins to ripple out and you can't stop talking about it. So I have a lot of faith for positive change surrounding pregnancy and birth. I really feel like we are on the precipice of this beautiful renaissance.
In this month of March, I think March become a big month for prenatal wellness, and both for your initiative, which has always been the Birth Psychology Month, and also for the World Pregnancy Day on March 22 initiative. So they are this year complementing each other to foster a great dialogue about the emotional and psychological well-being of parents and babies during pregnancy. So how do you think that this fusion will actually help in create even more spreading the word out there about the effects of prenatal life and our experience in the womb?
I have to share a little bit about that because I said earlier that one of my favorite things to do, one of the ways that I really operate in life is just by spreading awareness and talking about things. I love talking about birth psychology. I love talking about APPA. I think all of my friends and family know that when I come to the dinner table, I'm talking about birth psychology. We're talking about babies. We're talking about interpersonal relationships. And so I really feel like Birth Psychology Month and World Pregnancy Day really go hand in hand in raising awareness about the deep impact that life begins in the womb. Birth Psychology Month, it takes place the entire month of March on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Mondays, we have four keynote speakers who are really, really going into what are dissecting our theme this month, which is the innate wisdom of birth, how womb ecology becomes world ecology. And if you break that down, I mean, that's the emotional and the psychological well-being of our parents and babies and how that really shapes lifelong health and how that brings the entire world together. In that same platform, World Pregnancy Day, which you said, Susana, is on March 22nd, really spreads the entire message of raising awareness around the deep impact of health in the womb, right? We're sharing that globally. We're really encouraging people to understand that prenatal well-being is a fundamental piece of who we are and how that shapes who we are. And I think together, these really inspire just important discussion. And to Ashley's point earlier, like we are at a beautiful precipice where people are hungry for this information. We want to support these generations of women that are birthing right now, the generations of women that have birthed before us, that have birthed us, and the women that are going forward to continue birthing along with, this entire world. And I can't wait for March. I feel like every night I go to sleep and I'm like, we're one day closer. Like we're just so excited to celebrate and to bring a huge platform to share all of these discussions and conversations and give way to inviting everyone to come be a part of these conversations.
Yeah, because we both share our initiatives at celebration for the World Pregnancy Day. We are having at Prenatal Alliance a 3-day prenatal wellness virtual summit that's going to be held from March 22 to the 23, where also APPPAH is going to be present. This is a global awareness campaign with educational initiatives, community discussions. We have with advocacy for efforts to promote maternal and infant health that will be held in this summit. It's free, it's online, everybody can come in, and all the videos, all the talks will be on our YouTube channel for a week. And if you want to keep all that in for the full year, you just give a small donation and you have access not only for the full talks but also for the bonus that Prenatal Alliance and also APPPAH has prepared for everyone. So we are going to have so many talks, and the topics are around conception, pregnancy, birth, breastfeeding. We talk about education, prenatal education. We talk about prenatal psychology, but also about the medical system and how we can intervene. How can we have new perspectives? What are the new perspectives around the globe regarding prenatal wellness and care? And we encourage all individuals and organizations worldwide to participate in both initiatives, both from Prenatal Alliance and APPPAH, because with spreading this information, with knowing more about this information, we can also support policies, make a change, because we need politicians, we need societies, we need governments to really make change in the way that things are going, as Ashley was saying, and prioritize well-being of both mother and baby, and have more positive practice. Some of them are substantially already supported by scientific studies, as Ashley was talking about epigenetics and neuroscience. It's already there. The studies are there. The research is done. So we need to make this change. And as a doctor told me when I was asking him why is it taking so long, and he said, we are just waiting for moms to tell us what to do.
Yes.
No, that really goes back to your quote, Ashley, that you started us off with, the Michel Odent quote, that the fastest route to change is through grassroots, right? Is through mothers asking for more information, is for asking for this. And I wanted to share too, our summit is also free. If folks who are listening to this recording want to join us anytime in March, they are more than welcome to join. We have incredible keynote speakers on Mondays. We're doing some really fun things on Wednesdays on social media. So I really encourage everybody to kind of follow along on Instagram or Facebook. And Fridays, we're highlighting midwives who are in the trenches, who are doing the work, who are implementing birth psychology principles and really shifting lives and shifting the ways that they're practicing. And we're so excited to really share these personal stories and how that all comes together and culminates back to the theme of the innate wisdom of birth, how womb ecology becomes world ecology.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So everybody who is listening to us, we are going to have on the description of this video all the links for you to learn a little bit more of both organizations and also for the initiatives that are happening in March. Thank you so much, Wendy and Ashley, for being with me today. We had such a great conversation. I hope we can also meet up and talk about other issues that are so important for mothers and babies.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.